This video is brought to you by Ageless Geeks.
Cowabunga, dudes and dudettes. This is Anthony, aka BatBomb82, and today I'll be doing a review of the Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure Sasquatch. Now, as you can see, I have all the pieces laid out here to build Sasquatch. I've been really excited to check this figure out, even though I'm not really a huge fan of the character, but I really do love having a Bigfoot in my collection. So what are we waiting for? Let's build ourselves an action figure. Alright, so let's get with the big fella right here, the upper torso. Get that and fold these down like that right here. This one right. That is the right foot. Or left foot. Yeah, let's pop that on right there. That works out pretty good. That's so far so good. Get the other one, stick it in there just like so. That's very good, just like that. We'll take the other arm and put it in there like that. Okay, and then we'll get this one right here, nice and tight. Yeah, there like that. And then this fella right here, just like so, and I get to form the head. That is a very awkward shape, so get that in there, and bam! Very, very cool looking piece. Alright guys, and here is Sasquatch all put together. Now this is a pretty impressive piece. Now I will say, I really could have cared less about getting a Sasquatch Build-A-Figure. I just have no real big interest in that character. I think he's cool for the most part, but I'm not a huge fan of like Alpha Flight and whatnot. But I did used to have that old one from Toy Biz, that old Marvel Legends, but I have since sold it. And that was a great figure. I had him for quite some time, but he was a little too lengthy and skinny and whatnot. So that's why I actually really like this one a lot more. He's pretty big and beefy, and he's just a nice hunk of plastic. I mean, this is a great action figure, you know, especially if you're a fan of characters like Alpha Flight and whatnot, and maybe trying to build out that team. I think this is a great figure to do that with. So hopefully eventually down the line we can get some more Alpha Flight characters, but the sculpt is fantastic. You can see how massive and strong and intimidating he looks. I think that's great. All the sculpting of the fur throughout the entire figure, and the forearms, all that looks great. He got his little furry piece covering up his his Bigfoot junk down here, you know what I'm saying? All that looks really nice. Just everything looks really, really good. You can notice some like two-tone plastic from like the hip right here to the thigh, where the colors don't quite match up, but I mean, that's not a super big deal, in my opinion at least, but I know some people are kind of picky about that sort of thing. But I do like the airbrushing in certain areas, like around here, around the shins, and in the forearms, even in the hands, all look really nice. It blends really nice. You can see that darker airbrushing going down his little happy trail right now, leading to his Bigfoot junk, you know what I'm saying? So that looks pretty cool. All that looks really nice. You got some extra fur going across the top right here. You see there's some Sasquatch booty back there. All looks really cool. What I do like too, you can kind of see it a bit here, even in like the joints right there, and then in the forearms like that. You can see how the joints are even sculpted a little bit to look like fur too, so it really helps blend the figure together, which I do appreciate. You can see right there on the wrist that a little joint right there has some sculpting on it, so you can see that again, so it helps blend with the fur, so that's really nice. Nice attention to detail. But the hand sculpts look great. I think they just did such a good job with that. You even got those claws painted. It looks really good. On this side, you have a fist. I just think that looks awesome. That head sculpt is gorgeous. I love that. He just looks so nice. He looks like intimidating and scary, but kind of a peaceful, docile creature at the same time, which I think is really cool. You got that red eyes in there. I just think that looks so good. They just did such a nice job with capturing this character in a modern form. It just looks great. The long hair back there just looks really nice. And then you have his big old Bigfoot Sasquatch feet, which I think are great. It kind of has that like ape-like toe where they're kind of coming out to the side like that. Big old patas right there. Just think it looks awesome. Again, with the painted nails, looks fantastic. Again, he's a really nice beefy figure, and you'll see some size comparisons later on with some other figures, and you can see how real massive he is. He's pretty cool, and I'm honestly liking him a lot more than I originally thought I was going to. So yeah, man, Hasbro did a really good job with this guy. So let's take a look at the articulation now. So his head and his neck are on like this ball joint right here, so it kind of rolls around a bit. We do get a disc hinge in there that allows him to look down that much, up about that far, which isn't great. It is hindered by the hair and the sculpting of his like back right here, so that's a little disappointing, but nothing too terrible. Does rotate left and right, does pivot a tiny bit, but not a whole lot. Arms can go full 360. Out and out that way. Rotation at the bicep as well as that little hinge right there. We only get a single bend at the elbow, which is not a big deal. It wouldn't go much more even if it was a double ball, so, or a double joint, so not a big deal. We get rotation at the wrist as well as a hinge at the wrist. We get an ab crunch. Only crunches forward about that much, which is not great. Back very far, which is pretty good. We do get a waist swivel, allows it to rotate left and right. We got hip joints that kick forward that much. Back and pretty far, which surprisingly, we kick out that far into the splits about that much. We got rotation in that upper thigh, and that just came right out the socket and put that right back on there. We got double jointed knees that were okay for the most part. Not a full bend and get a little more, about there. That's all you're really gonna get. Pretty tight joints throughout this entire figure for the most part too, which I do appreciate. We also got ankle joints, lets you point the toe up and down. No rotation, but we do get a decent ankle rocker. The ankle rocker is hindered a little bit by like the fur draping down around the ankle. You can see it kind of like hits right there, but it's not a big deal and it's not too terrible. So overall, man, I think he's pretty awesome because like, even if you're not a big fan of like the Sasquatch character, it's kind of cool to have like a Bigfoot toy, because that's initially what he is. Yes, he's a Marvel character and whatnot, and he's like a superhero and he's part of a team, but when it comes down to it, he's initially Bigfoot. So if you want a good Bigfoot figure, then I think this Build-A-Figure is definitely a must get. So for a quick size comparison, here he is standing next to a Marvel Legends Captain America figure, as well as a DCUC Batman figure. And for your Marvel Legends comparison, here he is with all the other figures from this wave that I've already previously reviewed. And like I said at the beginning of this series, I kind of stopped collecting Marvel Legends a long time ago, and this is the first real wave that I've got in a very long time. And I am very excited that I actually got this set. It is very good. And if I had to rank all my figures from my least favorite to my absolute most favorite, I'm gonna go ahead and start off with Paladin. Now, Paladin is actually a really surprisingly cool figure. I love the color scheme of purple and black, but I just have no clue who he really is. So that's kind of why he takes the last spot. Coming in the 7th spot, I'm gonna have to give it to Deathlock. Now, this is a really cool figure, don't get me wrong. It was really hard to put this list together, but he has great paint apps. I love the silver used, and that Gatling gun is insane. It just happens to be that I'm only a casual fan of Deathlock, and the other figures just happen to be a little better in my opinion. Next up, I'm gonna give it to Sasquatch himself. He is an incredibly cool and beefy action figure. And like I said, I'm not a huge fan of the character, but something about having a Bigfoot toy in my collection and standing on my shelf is just a lot of fun. Coming in at number 5, I'm gonna give it to Domino. Now, I love this character. She is so beautifully done, and I think Hasbro did an amazing job. I absolutely love her purple weapons, and the only real reason she didn't get higher is because I do wish we got more of a 90s Domino. Now I know not everyone's a fan of that, but I definitely am, and still hopeful that we eventually get that figure. Next up, I'm gonna give it to X-Force Deadpool. Now, like I've stated many times, Deadpool is actually one of my all-time favorite comic book characters, and this particular figure, I was afraid I was never going to get because the original version was a HasCon exclusive, and I'm so glad that Hasbro re-released it in the main line, so it makes me proud to own this figure, and being a giant X-Force fan and with Deadpool in this suit is incredibly cool, and I am proud to own this piece. And next up, I'm gonna give it to X-23. Now, X-23, again, is my favorite Marvel female. She is incredibly cool, and in those X-Force colors that I love so much. They did such an amazing job with her, and in my opinion, is the best X-23 figure that has ever been made. That's why she gets this spot. Coming in at the number 2 spot, I'm gonna give it to the man called Cable. Now, I have been wanting this figure for a long time. He's actually one of the main reasons I even picked up this set. Finally getting a modern Marvel legend in more of that classic Cable look is just perfect to me. Hasbro captured this guy almost flawlessly, and he is so incredibly cool. Finally seeing him in live action in the Deadpool 2 movie makes me hopeful that maybe someday we can get a movie version of this guy. Overall, he's still a great figure, and that's why he gets the number 2 spot. And at number 1, I'm gonna give it to the classic Deadpool. Now, why is that? Because again, Deadpool, one of my all-time favorite characters, and being a more straight-up classic, almost first appearance Deadpool is incredible to me. Finally, we got a pure Deadpool figure without any craziness. It almost has that Rob Liefeld type of look to it, and I love it. That is a look that I fell in love with, and again, it reminds me of that old vintage Deadpool toy. That's why this Deadpool gets the number 1 spot. And just for fun, here he is standing next to little Lego Bat Bomb. So there it is, guys, my review of the Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure Sasquatch. Now overall, this is really an impressive action figure. Now again, I'm not huge fans of Alpha Flight, and especially the Sasquatch character. I have no real attachment to him or any of them. But this piece is insanely cool. More so than Sasquatch, he just makes me feel like I'm having an awesome toy. Having a Bigfoot toy tower amongst all your other action figures on your shelves is awesome to me, and I love that I got him, and he'll fit great in any of your collections. So please comment, like, and subscribe. Stay nerdy, my friends. Peace.